We are going to start with my web conference, the third one. I'm going to call it the 3 Ps of inquiry. For everyone online, make sure that you have everything ready to go, your volume's up, and so we'll go and get started. So we want to remove all distractions. Turn off your phone, shut your door. This will allow distractions to be removed. Okay. If you're watching from home, we understand that all sounds can be avoided, such as kids, pets, or family. So it's okay if your dog or if a child walks in. It's okay if it's interrupted. We all understand that. It's life. So I want to do a quality check. If you all can hear me, please raise your hand for me real quick. Thank you. You can go ahead and lower them. The next is I am going to make sure that my volume is working, which it is, and the recording is in progress. So we're good on the quality checks. So we're going to move into the triggering phase. So what we're going to be talking about for this is we're going to be talking about the community of inquiry. It's a framework that describes the constructive and collaborative approach to thinking and learning focused on the cognitive process of an individual. So I have a quick assessment for everyone. What are the 3 independent elements or variables of a community of inquiry framework? Select all that apply. If you could, use the pencil annotation and circle the correct answers. Okay. Perfect. It's all 3 of them. So that's the correct answer. Thank you for doing that. So a learning objective that you will understand the 3 variables that are involved in the COE framework: social, teaching, and cognitive, and how they interact. So next is exploration phase. So social presence is the capacity to project one's personal identity of a person into an online community so that he or she is observed as a real life person. So the second part of social presence consists of major parts that focus on the social sensitivity of the group and the social emotional environment while creating an environment for learning. So we have an assessment for the social presence. Social presence is the capacity to project one's identity in an online community. It's going to either be true or false. If you could use the arrow tool to answer the question, to select true or false. And if you're online, please pause and take a moment to answer the questions and write on a piece of paper for me. Perfect. The answer is true. Thank you both. And thank everyone online for answering that also. So the next presence is going to be cognitive. Is the extent to which a teacher and students are able to build and confirm meaning through continuous dialogue in a community of inquiry. The next is teaching presence. It's a facilitation, design, and direction of a social and cognitive processes for the purpose of realizing individual significance and educationally learning outcomes. So the second part to teaching is the design features are of clear course requirements and academic responsiveness are of value to allow collaboration between students and teachers. So I have an assessment for this one. Do you believe that social or teaching presence is more important and why? So if you could raise your hand if you want to, then you could type your answer in the chat box for me. Okay. I agree, Katie. I feel like they're equally important because without social, how is the teacher going to be able to have the students interact with each other? So both need to be strong. Okay. I agree. If you're missing one area, it's hard to, you can't really make it up in the other. And I also agree that teaching presence for me would be the stronger one, because if you don't have a good teaching presence, if you're not able to facilitate, how are you able to get the students to do what they need to do and have a social presence with each other and a cognitive presence there? Okay. Thank you both for answering that. And so I have another assessment. The facilitation and design and direction of social and cognitive process for the purpose of realizing educationally learning outcomes is which presence? If you could use the shapes tool to point to the correct answer, or to put a shape around the correct answer. And if you're online, please pause the video for 15 seconds. Then once you write down the answer, go ahead and restart the video for me. And yes, it is teaching. Thank you for answering that. So we're going to move on to the integration phase. So for the integration phase, we're going to start out with the social presence. It is very important to establish an environment where everyone can build relationships and trust, which can help produce positive results in your career field or whatever job you have. So relationships are very important when it comes to people being together. The cognitive presence part, I would say having open discourse and dialogue in your career can help facilitate the understanding that fellow workers have if you're training them in something new. Without open discourse and being able to talk to each other, it's very hard to, like, if you cannot have someone understand you and get your point across if you need help, or if you're not understanding what they're teaching you. So when it comes to teaching presence, when it comes to having a career, having feedback and a timely response to questions will help new employees have a more willingness to learn. So if you have, where it comes to, if you're doing orientation, and if something's not clearly stated or clearly thought of, if they send you a question even after the orientation's over, if you don't get back with them, it's going to be hard for them to be able to understand how to improve upon, or even understand what you're talking about at times, if you do not have a strong teaching presence. So I have a self-reflection. At your current workplace, what do you think that there is? Do you think that there is a significant amount of a teaching presence during the mandatory training sessions? Take a few seconds to think. If Katie, if you will answer where number 1 is, and Charles, if you will answer where number 2 is, will you use the in-text annotation for me and provide me an answer? And everyone that is online, please pause the video and on the sheet of paper, answer the question, and then restart the video when you're ready. Okay. Thank you for answering that for me. So there's no teaching when you worked at Walmart? I agree with that. I worked at Walmart when I first got out of high school, so I agree with that part. It's hard to, like, even with orientation, didn't teach much back then, and that was a long time ago for me. So, and Katie, you said I think there's a good amount of instruction, but it lacks guidance and follow through. As I work for an entity within Wright State, I can agree on that. So I understand that. So both points are valid. Thank you for answering those. And with everyone on, go ahead and restart your video for me when you're ready. Thank you for that. Okay, so next I have a teaching scenario. My question is, how would you fix this? So I am going to go and share my, so I'm actually going to read the scenario to you really quick before I share my link, my URL. In an online nursing course, students are presented with lecture materials but miss out on interactive decisions and peer collaboration. The instructor's feedback on assignments is infrequent and responses to students' inquiries are delayed. This lack of engagement leaves students feeling isolated and unsupported, hindering their ability to translate theoretical knowledge into practical nursing skills. So I'm going to share a URL, then I'm going to set up the breakout rooms and have you go to the breakout room for 2 to 3 minutes. Then when you're ready, at the 3-minute point, I am going to end the breakout room to have you guys come back and give me your answers. So I'm going to put the URL in the chat. Then I am going to send both of you to a breakout room, which is going to be breakout room number 1. So sign And while they're in the break room, if you're watching at a later time, pause the video and answer on a separate sheet of paper and start the video and continue. Thank you both for doing that, and I'll go to your answers. And you said both of you came up with do a resuscitation or small group breakout to review material. That is a very good suggestion. And you also said since the course is online, students could engage in discussion posts or get to know you activities to build social collaboration and relationships. Both of those are really good suggestions because that would enhance the teaching presence from the teacher and make the teacher go back and forth with the students more to make sure that they're understanding everything. So we're going to move on to the next one. So we are in the resolution phase. Social presence is the ability to project your own identity in an online community so that you will be perceived as a real life person. The cognitive presence is when students and teachers can build and confirm meaning through continuous dialogue in the area of community of inquiry. Teaching presence is the facilitation, design, and direction of social and cognitive process for the purpose of educational learning outcomes. And we're going to move on to the next one. So I am going to share the Slido polling and I shared the first one. And the first question is the facilitation, design, and direction of social and cognitive processes for the purpose of realizing individual significant and educational learning outcomes is which presence? All right. You both answered teaching, which is correct. I'm going to go on to the next one. And the next one is the community of inquiry framework has three presences, true or false. And you both answered true. And going on to the next one. And that is the end of my web conference. Thank you both for attending, and I hope you both have a good night. And that is the end of my recording.